elections, most important thing.
I'm Cameo Flood. I am an independent consultant in environmental permitting, and I've been on the committee for some unknown time. I think maybe 4 years. Maybe I don't remember. So, yeah.
Thank you. And Rebecca, I think you just joined by phone. If you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Rebecca Dawson, and I believe this is my 3rd term on committee. I work for MCPS in their administrative offices in the maintenance and facilities department.
Thank you. All right. And then for everyone online, could you hear everyone around the entire table okay? Awesome. Thank you. We have a new speaker system, which I think is working much better than it has in the past. So we're navigating that today. But I'll just do a quick roll call and then hand it over to Susan. So Cameo Flood here. Susan Mace here. Marilyn Ryan here. Jack Rinck
here.
Chelsea Johnson.
She gave your thumbs up.
Yeah. Thanks. John Newman. Rebecca Dawson.
Here.
Sarah Gottschalk.
Here.
Travis Hoffman.
Here.
Kirk Reed.
Here.
Scott Anderson.
Here.
And Tim Gerheim.
Here.
Thank you. Perfect. All right, I'll hand it over to Susan to lead through the agenda.
First thing to do is approve the agenda. Second. Great. Favor? Aye. Not in favor? Okay. Okay. Our agenda is approved. Moving on to approving minutes from our last meeting. Has everyone who wasn't here got a chance to watch the video or all that? Okay. Do you want to watch? Is there anything we need to do other than approving?
No, not to approve the agenda. The video is coming under new business. Yeah.
All right. Everybody in favor of approving sorry. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Second? Second. Great. Everyone in favor of approving the minutes? Aye. Aye. Anyone? Any nays? All right. The minutes our last meeting has been approved. Do we have any public comment on items that are not on the agenda? We don't have any members, non-committee members. Does anyone?
Mm-hmm.
That was the video talking. Oh, it's a little confusing there. All right, if we don't have any public comments for other items, we'll move on to old business. Were you going to talk about the digital storytelling or?
I can give a brief update. So for those of you who may not know, the previous EAC committee put together a digital story campaign and worked with folks throughout the community to create educational videos related to elections and the different positions that elected officials serve in. A previous member, David Lay, did a lot of groundwork working with the university and MCAT along with Susan to try and launch that project. There's a lot of video footage to work from. Kind of where it landed is that it's a really large project that needs some financial backing. And so at this point, the hope is that as a committee, you'll discuss amongst yourself kind of the vision that you have for this project And if you would like to continue it forward, it would come more as like a budget request to the commissioners to see if there's funding within the county to be able to continue the project and launch some videos. So Susan, do you have anything that you would like to fill in?
I guess just a little bit more detail with that. We had originally gotten some in-kind information by MCAT to do the filming and some editing. I think our vision of what would be the story that would be told kind of evolved over time. I think if we were going to move forward with the project, we need to revisit what exactly we wanted to do. It kind of evolved from having, this was back almost a year ago when we started doing this, and anticipated having short, maybe 1 minute videos about the local municipal elections that the primaries were in September. So the municipal judge, the city council and mayor, and trying to have nonpartisan, just factual information about the roles that those people served, not promoting any candidates or anything, just kind of a civics lesson. And we pursued having teachers participate in the video. We had another specialist from MSU. If you did the board training, you were familiar with Dan Clark. So he came and did an interview on some of the film. So that's what the film is Dan and the teacher just talking about those roles. But then we also have some script that David wrote that's being read by volunteers from the community theater. And so once we had all of those different types of video clips, which I think came out to maybe 4, maybe 6 hours, then it kind of became unclear what we actually wanted, how we wanted to present it. So from there, starting there, we would need to, I think, before we presented anything to the county commissioners, we'd have to be a little bit more clear on what our point was. Like, I personally, I think that having just descriptions of the positions was pretty useful. Kind of in my mind, a Schoolhouse Rock kind of presentation. But yeah, we'd have to figure that out. Probably get some more footage. We had talked about using stock footage from what the county has. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that?
So it sounds like there was a lot of recording done, but nothing was done.
Correct. Yeah, we were hoping to have some like 1 minute videos on each of those 3 positions ready for the primaries last September. We got the filming ready, the filming done, but then we just weren't really solid on what message we wanted to convey, but also realized that the editing was kind of a daunting task with how much footage we had, but still also needing to fill in some blanks with county footage that came from other sources. So I think it's a great project. We had thinking big, we had thought about using it as an example for other counties, eventually expanding it to making videos, similar videos for county roles or board roles. We kept talking about the sewer boards and things like that, that people aren't always sure what they do. So just to give people information. And I think a decent amount of the message was that local elections matter more in your daily life than national elections, and, you know, promoting the importance of voting, especially in local elections, which usually have far less participation. I think it was 34% maybe of voter returns for local elections, whereas with federal it's pretty high, like 70 something. So definitely, I think people maybe just don't consider that the municipal elections affect their lives so profoundly. So, but we'd have to think about, again, the message we want to convey.
And who's the intended audience?
Well, we had talked about putting it, you know, on the county YouTube channel and all those social media places, but also distributing it through high school social studies classes, middle school social studies classes, kind of, like I said, sharing it also with other counties to see if they might want to use that as an example, or even just use ours because they're just about the roles, not about any particular individuals involved.
So one thing I've heard us talk about this a lot, but I have never seen any of the video, and it's really kind of hard for me to imagine what the committee could give direction on without seeing them. So I'm wondering, is there a place we could post it so we could
It's
watch
like
some of
6
it?
hours.
I know.
At least. Yeah, I have a thumb drive with it on it. Should I post it somewhere? I don't know, I can't.
We can put it in a
Yeah.
SharePoint.
We could create a public file in SharePoint that everybody could access the files through with a shared link that we could password protect, so it's not just like out to anyone who might get the link.
Right,
Mhm.
okay. Is that,
I mean, I guess I cannot give advice on what we think we ought to do
sure.
with it without looking at it. And
yeah,
the story on how it's developed is, you know, long and
Yeah.
interesting, and so it'd be good to look at it with that in mind.
So the primary where we're stuck is just the editing part of it.
I think the message to convey and the editing, yes, and adding in any other footage that we have from the county communications department. People would want to take from them. I'm sure you've all seen the videos that we watch at the trainings and things like that. Parts of those could be incorporated or, so yeah, we just have to make a decision about that. But I guess maybe where we're at is, does anyone want to make a motion about posting it on SharePoint? Well, I think we're supposed to have a motion for any actions that we take, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So would anyone like to make a motion?
Oh,
All right, second,
I'll second.
great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any no's?
I
Oh, thank you.
We have a delay.
Oh, okay. Is anyone opposed to?
sorry, I didn't know if I was supposed to vote on the phone or not.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, maybe we should redo the vote. I didn't watch the online vote, so should we redo it?
I can't, yeah, we have no visual for the phone, so, we had a motion and a second for, posting the footage that we have already, so that everybody could watch it, and decide if, maybe to discuss next time, what we all think of it, what we might do with it. So does anybody, all in favor of posting the video? Great.
I,
All
All right.
right.
I
Any nays? Anyone opposed to that? All right, great. I think we're posting, I think I am posting these videos. I will definitely have to figure out how to do that, but,
Can I ask a follow-up question? And you may not be able to answer.
yeah,
Do you have any idea what kind of time frame or budget we're talking about to produce a final copy?
I have no idea going forward. About a year ago, I think it was our April meeting last year was when we started this, and we had kind of a timeline of meeting every 2 weeks and getting as far as we could with the goal of having them done by the September primaries. And obviously we were very underestimating what we were getting into, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I could see where it would be worth doing it by February next year, because that's when people have to sign up to run for or maybe it's later for the local elections. I think it might be May or June even.
It's earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be February.
Okay, so might be a good time if we're trying to get people interested in running some of those.
Yeah. And I think the county communications department was potentially available for helping with editing also. So
Potentially.
yeah, we had, I don't remember their name, but a videographer who was potentially going to help also in a volunteer role, but was very, very booked. So I think it would take drawing on a number of sources, but certainly if we had county money behind it, it might move along faster.
Do we need to have like a committee?
We had a committee.
I think everybody, except for you.
Jack was on our committee,
Okay.
and yes, the other 2 people have left. So yes, if anyone's still interested, Jack, if you want to still be interested, I guess at this moment, I'm not really sure what that committee's doing, but does anyone have to put on that?
I feel bad. I volunteered, and David and I had met once, I think, and then I was just too busy. And then I know he got kind of left hanging a few times when folks didn't let him know that they weren't going to be able to make it. So in my view, it would be pretty helpful just to look at the footage and then like I think we're already kind of leaning towards this point, but like really think about like what the kind of end product is. And I think looking at the footage will be helpful for that, and see like, here's what we got, and then here's what we can kind of turn it into. And just really think about like target audience and what the purpose in terms of like duration and delivery of these videos will look like. So I'm reticent to like raise my hand right now because I don't want to overcommit and underdeliver, but yeah, I think that's all I got.
Okay, well, maybe once we've all looked at the video, then maybe we can talk about who wants to participate more. Once you might know what you're dealing with. So does anyone have any other questions or thoughts on that?
So at the risk of, coming in more or less blind, correct me if I'm wrong, it sort of sounds like there's 2 phases, like the left to accomplish. So we need to edit it, which is a technical matter of actually editing video, which is, it sounds like most of what the budget would be geared toward. But the other part that I heard was clarifying what we're actually trying to accomplish with it, with the video that we have or the video that we would produce. Is that fair?
That's accurate, yeah.
I would think that second one comes first.
Like, we agree, I totally agree.
We'd edited around the message we wanted to convey, yes. And like I said, there's a number of hours of video, so. And we were trying to make 1-minute videos, 3 1-minute videos. So editing would be a big deal.
Because I would think that, and maybe this is naive, that non-technical people, which is to say us, who know what it is that we're trying to achieve with the videos, could in principle essentially kind of like write a script of the video based on what footage exists to guide and ideally minimize the amount of time and effort required from the technical people to actually do the editing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's trying to put too much on ourselves because I haven't seen videos.
Well, when we last met, actually met, when we had the video all on our thumb drives, our thought was that as we watched it, we would write down the timestamps and narrow it down to the moments that had the best ideas, and presentation, and then go from there. But yes, certainly hoping to narrow it down quite a bit.
That would definitely make it easier.
Yeah, so when you are watching it, if you could take notes on what you think is good, then that might help that process move along. We had also talked about way at the beginning, just using phone editing things, and as projects do, it got bigger than that. So I think part of your question was about just regular people doing this, but I think we've gone past just being able to do it ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I had picked up. What I mean is there are aspects of it that are technical and aspects not. And the more that we could, it sounds like, get the non-technical part actually sorted out, it would make it less expensive and more therefore possible to get to the finish line on the
Yes,
technical part.
yes, so we need to make a motion to ask everybody to please watch the video and write down what you think are better moments in it, but
I would not think that is-
may I suggest
Do we have a
Cameo-
time frame for when we want to do that?
it'd be nice to have a deadline, but would anyone like to make a motion about when we might want to?
When will it be available, not what?
Sarah?
I could definitely create a shared
Okay.
file for you to dump the files into. If it's a big 6-hour one chunk, or is it multiple files?
Well, we dropped it, the whole thing soon after, so I actually haven't looked at it. I'm not really sure. I'm hoping that it's separated by the different
Interviews?
people who were filmed. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so if it's in chunks,
It's not that it's all run together, but the two of them, the Dan Clark, and then we had a teacher from Bonner Middle School, Dylan Huskin, and he each of the two of them were almost an hour, so
Okay.
shorter ones, but
it should be pretty simple to upload them into that file, and then I can send out an email to everyone with that shared link, and it can be password protected, and it'll just be time to watch. But I think as far as uploading, if it's in those smaller chunks, it shouldn't be too onerous. So
okay, so then I can just work with you. I'll take a look at it. Let you know.
As far as the timeline, I'm retired, so my time is good, but as I'm the rest of you. I don't know how long it takes to go through 6 hours.
I think that's how much it is. I really can't. I wasn't there for.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, put it on 1.5 times. But maybe by our next meeting, we could all at least feel like either we have done it or we're just not going to.
Next meeting's all not until when?
July.
Yeah.
That's 2 hours a month.
If it's actually 6 hours, well, maybe it's less, hopefully it's less. I know it's at least 2 hours. Okay, so we're all just agreeing to do that, and we can add it to our agenda for our next meeting.
okay,
We don't need to make a motion to add it to the next agenda, do we?
no,
All right, well, I think our old business is done unless anybody has anything else to add. Great, moving on to new business. I guess we need to vote for officer positions.
What are the officers?
so we have chair and vice chair, essentially.
That seems pretty easy. I guess, yeah, we don't have any treasurer.
So for context, everyone should have a list of the current committee, and I'm sorry for those online. Trying to think of, should have shared some materials beforehand.
Sarah, I just have the list up on the board website and I can just drop it in the chat for the folks online.
Thank you, that'd be great. And everybody online, did you get that link?
No, it's,
No.
I'm getting there. I think it should be in there if you click that. You should.
All right.
Has everybody had a chance to look at that as much as they need to? Everybody's muted. I'll take that as a yes. All right, then, I guess we just, make a motion to nominate a chair, person for a chair, and then we'll do vice chair. Do we need to discuss it first?
Just, is anybody interested? I mean, somebody, you're doing now a good job. Is somebody else interested in doing it? Including those online.
I'm sorry, our terms are 3 years,
Yes.
and am I on my last term?
Or officer terms for 1 year and then member terms for 3 years.
Officer terms are 1 year. That is correct. Thank you, Travis. Officer terms are 1 year. And so the appointment would be effective today through next April, essentially. Just because there's four meetings a year, so it gets kind of spread out. But officer positions are for a year, term positions are for 3 years. And Cameo, I can pull up board membership, see how long you've been serving.
Just 27.
5.
Do we have limits on how many terms?
Yes.
It's 3 3-year terms.
It's a lot.
Do you like to do it, Carrie?
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it. I don't know.
No, nobody does.
So,
I'll nominate you.
but I didn't want to do it if
Second
I'm
that
gonna run
nomination.
it. But I'm sure I'm not on my 3rd term. Well,
Cameo, you've been in your position since 2021.
so that's
You have plenty of time.
plenty of
Your
time.
experience. Nominate Cameo. Would anyone like to second that nomination? Or, sorry, second the nomination. Don't we need?
Rebecca, second. Yep.
Okay. All right. Was anyone else interested?
Sure.
Well, I mean, I know I'm not even gonna be here in July, so that seems wrong. But, I think we should just go ahead and vote on Cameo, right? Does, all in favor of having Cameo, as the chair of our next year of committee? I'll say aye. Aye. On board? On.
Aye.
All right, any nays? All right, Cameo is our new chair. Is anybody interested in vice chair?
Susan, are you interested in vice chair?
I have been the vice chair for the last year and I think I could do it again.
I nominate Susan for vice chair.
Thank you. We just second the nomination.
Second.
Great. I thought we.
It's a vote.
Yeah, we have in the
That's
past.
too confusing if we have different rules for different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
I'll try and control myself.
Makes sense though.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
I will accept the nomination then. So, does anyone have any discussion about that or in nominations? Yeah.
Are there any other nominations for folks online?
Any volunteers? All right. All in favor of me being the vice chair for the next year?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
I
Oh,
That's
that's.
a nine.
The phone
All
delay.
right, great. I'll be your vice chair for next year.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very contentious. All right, and then, I think that's all we have for new business, so we can move on to our administrator update. Video from Brett.
All right. See if I can get the technology to work again here. Sorry, everyone. I know this probably feels very clunky. Yeah, I had it earlier.
Teams, if you go on
I
the.
guess, I think you drag it over to your laptop screen.
I just have to make sure that I just have to get the share to work for everybody online here. All right, everyone online, can you see the EAC screen? Okay.
Sarah, there's no sound for us online.
Okay. Yeah, I just have to, sorry, guys. New systems here. This won't select the right. Had it going earlier. There's also a handout for those of you here in your packet.
We're going to talk a little bit about some law
That good now,
changes
Chuck?
that are ongoing, our tours, and then in this with an ask to you guys for a little assistance on the process.
Thanks.
Starting with the school election. We're be sending out 74,000 ballots in the mail tomorrow, April 15th. With House Bill 719, there is a requirement that every voter writes their year of birth in addition to their signature on the envelope. It's also important to note that since this is an all-mail election, there is no after-hours ballot drop box. So the drop box in front of our elections office at 140 North Russell is not going to be available for the school election. We'll be doing equipment testing in the weeks up to the election. And then specifically, ballots are due by 8 p.m. There's been a lot of discussion nationally about our ability to go through and have postmarks added to ballots and where those postmarks get applied. The USPS is having a little bit of a delay with that process, but in Montana, postmarks don't apply. We need ballots by 8 p.m. To help with this, we're going to go through and we're going to have multiple ballot drop-off locations and do a pickup from the post office at 8 p.m. For the school election, we will have same-day voter registration, election day registration, available from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it's business as usual for the school election. We've got 8 different drop-off locations, and we're going to be doing some work to help us plan for these bigger elections. We're going to be doing early ballot preparation the Thursday and Friday before the election. We're also going to start counting ballots the Monday before the election. All of these efficiencies are going to help us finish earlier on election night and have more complete results. For the school election, it's normally a pretty smooth operation. This just lets us prepare for our bigger elections coming up. After the election, we've got a couple of different things. The Monday following the election, we're going to do a provisional ballot count. Provisional ballots are ballots that are issued to you because there needs to be some additional review. So usually our provisional ballots from a mail ballot election are because it was missing a year of birth or a signature, and the voter corrected that. So we'll add those to the vote totals on the 11th. And then we're going to canvass with the Board of County Commissioners the county races on 5/18. School districts canvass their own elections. So we'll be presenting to Missoula County Public Schools and preparing other information for districts out there. I want to dig into House Bill 719, or the year of birth on the affirmation envelope. This was a law that was passed by our state legislature last year, and it's currently under a legal challenge. This requires the date of birth on the envelope. In the actual law, it requires the full date of birth, but the Secretary of State requires counties to use their envelope design. As we were making the transition to not have a flap, that was really our decision based on processing, expediting, and then the year of birth coming from the Secretary of State. Since then, the Secretary of State has mandated that every county uses their envelope design, so we must use their design. Well, this year of birth led to 1,090 rejected ballots out of the almost 38,000 returned. But we work hard. If a ballot is rejected due to a year of birth or a signature, we have a whole team. We had a person who was dedicated to this process to help make sure that they were able to reach out to those voters. Every single one got a letter. In addition to that, if they have an email or a phone number on file, they're going to get those contacts as well. And then we strive to make a second contact to these voters. So Bradley, unfortunately, here's your letter stating that you forgot to sign the envelope. We also gave you a phone call, left you a message, and then reached out again a week later to say, hey, we haven't heard from you, just so you know there's still time to resolve that ballot. A rejected ballot requires the voter to fill out a form from the Secretary of State's office and provide a copy of their ID. School info for vote by mail. Rather than reinventing the wheel, I thought it was important to just show the great information. This is a copy of our instructions from the school election. Covers quite a bit of the different information, as well as our 8 drop-off locations, and helps inform people to put their year of birth and that ballots are due by 8 p.m. The school election, pretty straightforward. Ballots are going out, we're in that election. Now also, we've got an overlapping primary election. So ballots are going to mail just to those on the absentee list. You'll notice that in the primary election, we've got about 64,000 ballots going out, about 10,000 less than the election that we're just now running. Those ballots mail on the 8th. So we've got a really interesting process where we overlap the school election, the return, receiving, reconciliation, and processing of those ballots, and preparing the ballot packets to go out in the mail for the primary election. We actually have our whole counting center set up, and it's prepared for ballot preparation. And we'll be testing the equipment during the public test in the voter area on the north side of the room. So a lot of overlap to get those ballots ready to be mailed on the 8th of May. Polling places are open for the primary election. So in the primary election, we're going to have our polling locations in addition to mail ballot election. Now, we relocated 2 of those polling locations. We sent the voters from Lowell School to Front Step, the former Bird Street Bistro. And as we were working with you all, we were talking about CS Porter and having them go to MCPS, as well as the Lifelong Learning Center. Unfortunately, the Lifelong Learning Center wasn't able to accommodate those extra 300 voters. They didn't have that space. So we did take Travis's great recommendation and went back over to the Orchard Homes Country Life Club. So we'll have voters from CS Porter voting there. Now, we just sent out updated voter confirmation cards to everybody, as well as our polling place voters got a flyer that included a map to their new location and a postage paid absentee ballot request if they would prefer to vote by mail. We're going to be offering a few extended hours for the primary election. We have some same day voter registration changes that we're trying to help offset through extended hours. And we do have our after hours ballot drop box because it is a polling place election. So that'll provide extra ability for voters. We'll be testing equipment the week ahead of the election on 5/26. And the same process, we're going to prepare ballots 2 days earlier. So what that means is we go through, we take the ballot out of the secrecy envelope. We confirm that there's one ballot, not multiple party ballots, that it's for the right election. It's not the school election ballots before. And we prepare those, reseal those so that we can count, and we'll start counting the Monday before the election. On election day, the count has to run continuously. So this is where our planning and prep work really comes in. We've added an extra machine to our count on Monday and use it on Tuesday as well. So that should expedite us a little bit. But we've really been working to calibrate the process, knowing that if we do hit into 2, 3 a.m., we know there's going to be a slowdown, and now we're accommodating for that slowdown. So rather than having a push where we count continuously till 8 p.m., we're going to contract our counting center so that we have a slower flow and then expedite it when we have people who are rested come in the next day. Same day voter registration has multiple changes to it. For a federal election, same day voter registration ends at noon. It is not open the Monday before the election, but instead it's open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. the Saturday before the election. Now, in addition to all of our election processes, after the election, we've got that provisional ballot count. Now, provisional ballots in this election could also be due to absentee voters who got a ballot in the mail who go to the polling place to vote. Before we count that polling place ballot, we want to confirm that absentee ballot wasn't counted. So we'll see more provisional ballots for the primary election than we do for the school election. In addition to that, we have a post-election audit where we manually count randomly selected precincts to confirm that those races totals match what our tabulator meant. So we're testing our equipment before, we're testing our equipment election day, and then after the election, we're doing a hand count of specific races randomly selected by the Secretary of State to confirm our equipment worked correctly. That's not a new process. It did get expanded in the past. However, we've always had these post-election audits for the federal elections since I've been here for the election office, just to show that our equipment did work correctly. Then after that process, we'll go through the canvass. And the canvass is confirming the ballots that were received to the ballots counted, making sure none were missed or counted more than once. Okay, kind of continuing forward on the primary election, I wanted to talk about vote by mail. So we've got a couple of things that are looking a little bit different for vote by mail, and Sarah did an awesome job on updating the instructions. We're still going to have our year of birth on there, but then it's a primary election. So we added some great information that talked about the multiple party ballots, that in Montana, we're an open primary state, meaning that you're going to get each party's ballot and you pick one to vote. You'll vote and return just that one, and that adds an extra layer of secrecy to your vote. In addition to that, we talked a little bit about how our ballots look different. If it was a fully uncontested race, the Republican race for county commissioner did not have a candidate file. With that, you won't see that on the ballot. So on the Libertarian Party ballot, it's very short, including a few candidates and our nonpartisan candidates. In addition to that, we added information about ballot drop-off locations. They're available to be dropped off at any polling location, as well as we'll have 3 drive-through ballot drop-off locations and do that pickup from the post office at 8 p.m. We've also got information for our voter videos and our public tours that are included on our vote by mail instructions. Now, we can vote by mail, or we could vote at the polling places. So we're going to send ballots to voters who are on the absentee list, signature, year of birth, due by 8 p.m. We do have postage paid on all of our ballot return envelopes, and we do have after-hours ballot drop boxes available. In addition to that, we have about 10,000 voters. We expect to see about 20% of them at the maximum vote at the polling place. So we should get upwards of 2,000 polling place ballots from this election. So those voters are be able to vote at the polls, and they're going to have a specific new ID requirement for this year. Every voter is required to show a photo ID. Now, this is separate from any national laws. This was Senate Bill 276, and it changed the voter IDs that are available for voters to use at the polling place. Sarah Bell did a fantastic job putting together this great handout that has a lot of information for our workers, and we're really working to amplify this message and share it out through the association, through the statewide Association of Clerk and Recorders, through us locally, and helping make sure that third-party groups and groups that work in parallel can share this. Every voter will need a photo ID. If it's not one of these 7 specific photo IDs, and forgive me, these are kind of small, but it's going to be state driver's license, a Montana state driver's license, a Montana state ID card, military ID, tribal photo ID, Montana concealed carry permit, Montana University system ID, or US passport. Those 7, you can take that alone. The number 1 ID we see, driver's license. However, if you have something different, like a Washington driver's license or a Big Sky high school ID card, you need a supporting documentation. So this needs to be a current utility bill, government document, bank statement, or paycheck. If you're new and you haven't been to the polls, you may not see this as a change. If you've been here and you've been voting with your Washington ID, this could catch you a little bit off guard. So we're really going to try and amplify this message to help make sure that voters are prepared for Election Day. I want to talk about late and Election Day registration, which is Senate Bill 490. Now, it's different. For a local election, a municipal or a school election, we have what we used to have. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. The Monday before the election from 8 a.m. to noon. And then Election Day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Anybody in line is going to be able to serve. For a federal election, they changed these deadlines. So we're not even talking about this till we get past our upcoming primary. In a federal election, late registrations open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We added extended hours in Missoula County. So the week before the election will be open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. to help offset the loss of hours on Election Day. Now, on the Saturday before the election, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's nothing new for us. We normally ran 10 to 2. We've explored different hours. It tends to be quiet in the morning, and then after 2, there's a Grizz game in November, so it really drops down. Now it'll be closed the Monday before the election, so you won't be able to come in from 8 to noon before the election. And then on Election Day, it closes at noon, so 7 a.m. to noon. On Monday, you can only get a replacement absentee ballot or an undeliverable ballot. On Election Day, you can get an absentee ballot or an undeliverable ballot, and there may be a few other services. We still do not have clear guidance from the Secretary of State what services we can offer. It will likely be that we can offer a precinct-to-precinct move for a voter already registered in the county, but we don't have that information yet. As soon as we get that, we'll be working hard to help make sure that voters know, but our messaging doesn't change. Don't wait. Check my voter page. Make sure you're prepared for the election and make sure that you are ready for a successful Election Day. Now I want to talk just a little bit about our law challenges and national laws, locally, nationally, where we're at. We've got 3 big laws. All 3 we just covered. Year of birth on the affirmation envelope is in court. Right now it is required and we expect no change before the school or primary election. Voter ID laws requiring that photo ID is in court. Right now, we expect no change for the school or for the primary election. Now, for the school election, all mail, it gets a little confusing. There is no ID requirement for the mail election. Senate Bill 490, late registration for federal elections, is currently in court. We expect no change for the upcoming primary election. All 3 of those, based off of what we have seen in the past. We had a voter ID law change that was similar to this in the past. It went through the court procedure and it was ruled unconstitutional. This is take 2. We had a late registration change in the past. It went through the court process and it was ruled unconstitutional. This is take 2. So we're building off of what we know from before. We're unlikely to see a change before the primary, but we're very likely to see a change between the primary and the general election. And if we do, we will make sure that voters know and understand those rules. Our workers know and understand those rules, but we always want to train on the rules as they currently stand. Now, I want to talk a little bit about national laws because there's been a lot of news recently, and I just wanted to take a chance to kind of dive into what we've heard. And I like to wind this all the way back to March of 2025. There was an executive order from President Trump that stated that we would need to change the voting equipment that we use. Barcodes were no longer allowable. Voting equipment required that it had better audit trails, that everything had a paper ballot, and that instantly had legal challenges and have been tied up in court, and no portions of that executive order are enforced right now. So what we recently saw is there was a recent executive order in March that came out, and that executive order, I know I'm jumping around just a little bit, covered different things. It covered our mail ballot design envelopes. It covered our Secretary of State working with the postmaster to provide a list of voters that can receive a ballot. It provided in extra retention and a few other things. And within the weekend after being signed, 23 states had signed on to a legal challenge on that. This executive order had no impact that would take place for the primary election. If we did need to provide a list of voters that receive a ballot in the mail, we have one. That's our whole state database. So we could provide that to the USPS, but those rules haven't been written yet. The rules requiring what the envelope design looks like are the biggest for us in the election office because we work hard to make sure that those outgoing envelopes meet those requirements. They haven't been written yet. They had 60 days from the signing of that executive order to write those rules. And until we know exactly what those rules look like, I'm not certain that that's going to be something that we need to jump right into. Now, according to what it said, it needs to go through mail design, check that box. It needs to have a barcode on the envelope that helps its delivery. We've checked that box through our process. So we've met many of these requirements and it's unlikely to impact voters. However, there's a lot of noise around these, so I wanted to bring it up. That executive order is in legal challenge. No change for the primary election. You guys hearing a bit of a theme? Okay, now the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act gets a little bit confusing because this is the act presented to the Congress that goes through and it requires multiple different things. It is a federal voter ID law. The version of the SAVE Act that I have read, it may have changed. It eliminated mail balloting for most voters that were not active military. 85% of Missoula County votes by mail ballot, so these are huge changes. Now, that passed the House in the federal legislature, and it is currently in the Senate. That's really all the information that I have on that. However, if that passes, I expect to see the same pattern we've seen on many other laws. A potential legal challenge, and we're always working hard to help make sure that we're going to set up for success. So in Missoula County, we're in a good spot. We have the most polling locations out of any location in any county in the state of Montana. And we trained in over 550 judges. We recruited over 650, and some did not make it through training, but we've got a great pool of election judges. And should the laws change, as you can see, they do regularly, we'll help update there. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the tours we will be doing around the primary election, which is an opportunity for you to come and see how our processes work. Tuesday, May 26th, we're going to test equipment. So we're going to make sure that everything works correctly, seal that and get that ready for election day. On Thursday, May 28th, we're going to go through and we're going to open those absentee ballots and we're going to take them out of the envelope to get them prepared for counting. On the 1st, we're going to go through and we are going to observe the final test of the equipment and then we're going to start our counting process. So it's another test of equipment and then it starts our counting process. On Monday, the 8th, our provisional counting is open to the public and we encourage people to come and be a part of that process. On Wednesday, June 10th, we have a tour of our post-election audit. So going through and hand counting those ballots. And then finally on the 16th, the canvass is an open public meeting. So all of these are great ways that you can learn. And to wrap up this great little elections administrator update, I just wanted to tell you what action steps are really next for you all. Amplifying our messaging. Sarah does a great job of sending out news releases and sharing that information. We share information on Missoula Votes on Instagram. We have our instruction pages. Help us amplify this information. Specifically, your year of birth is required. Postmarks don't apply, but ballots are due by 8 p.m. And check My Voter page to make sure your information is correct. We also want you to come and learn about and see a process. One of the biggest things that's so important about our advisory committee is seeing what we do, learning and trying to comprehend how these processes work so we can get solid recommendations to help better these processes as we go forward. I want to say thank you to everybody for all of your service. Sarah's going to be fantastic at helping answer some questions as they come through. And if you need anything else, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. Thank you all and have a really great day.
All right.
Okay. It just rolled to the next video. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
Gotta love YouTube.
does anybody have any comments about Bradley's comments?
I wanted to ask a question, mostly for whoever else is going to be working the elections. So this list about photo ID plus a document.
Correct.
Is this list utility bill, government document, bank statement, paycheck? Is that an exhaustive list, or are these examples of a document with the voter's name and current address?
Those are examples, and those examples came straight from the Secretary of State's office. So it could be a variety of different government documents, like the vehicle registration or a tax bill or something of those
Or it
natures.
could be anything that's not a government bill, but not necessarily a government document, but anything that has the name and current address, according to this at the top. That's what I'm clarifying.
Yeah, as long as it's like an official statement of some sort, like not just
Not just like a letter from a friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Sure.
Yes, a bank
Yeah,
statement.
which is one of the things.
Yeah. And then to that note as well, they can be electronic versions of those documents. Most people, or a lot of people, chosen electronic documents rather than paper statements being mailed to them. So electronic on your phone is acceptable, as are electronic IDs.
Those three documents in this packet that have the envelope thing for the school and the primary and that. Really not the left, but could you
Yes, they are available electronically. I can send you a link. I can send a link to this group afterwards. And then we can post them on our website as well on the current election page. The ID document, we won't post on our website right now. This is specifically for our polling places to use to help voters navigate. But we will have information about the on our frequently asked questions on the current election page, as well as we get closer to that June election.
Yeah, I just think we do it some voter education.
Yep. I'd be happy to get those for you.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you for all the hard work to try to negotiate through the changes in the legal process. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it's always interesting. There's always something new to learn. Appreciate that. Does anyone online have any comments or questions from Bradley's video or Rebecca on the phone?
No, I'm good.
We're good.
Great. Moving to-
I guess I'll comment. I did also include a list of the polling place locations just for everyone's context. This is just for the June election. And we will have 3 ballot drop-off locations as well. So those are at the bottom of that page. All of the hours for each location is 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So Just for context, we will have that on the website as well.
Thank you. There's no more comment. We will just move on to establishing our next meeting date. The second Tuesday of every third month. The next one is July 14th. Then we have October 13th, January 12th, and April 13th following that. Any comments about that? Questions? If there's nothing else, I think we're adjourning. Favor?
Hi.
Anyone want to stay longer?
Sure.
All right. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
For anyone who's new to the committee, thank you for being here. And sorry, today was a bit bumpy with technology. But everyone online, I will get copies of all the documents that we have here so that you can read them and review them as well. If you have questions about process or upcoming information, please let me know and I will try and answer all that I can. So thank you for being here.
You.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks all.